Yo, what's up? So I'm going to be making a PVE tier list for the legendary Divinates. Keep in mind this is only going to be PVE. I won't be touching on PvP. I will be making a tier list for PvP as well later. And I won't be ranking epics or rares because at this point, if they don't change anything about the epics and rares, none of them are going to be worth it for you to craft the Divinates. Unless it's already an epic or rare that you're already using, like for example Drew or something, right? You want to give them the Divinate just for the basic stats. Disclaimer, this is still in the PTR testing phase, so they can still change the Divinates, so yeah, keep that in mind. Alright, so the way that I'm going to be ranking this one, for PvE, I will not be including towers because you can pretty much complete Infinity, Temporal Tower with control teams, with AP control teams, and just auto it all the way through. I will be including ultimate spires for both ritual miracles and desolate lens, and also event trials. Celestial anomaly I will not be including because we don't know what the next one is going to be. For example, if the celestial anomaly next boss is immune to debuffs, then Yunchuan would be totally unusable, right? So I will not be including celestial anomaly. And also one thing I forgot, for the falsetto fantasy as well. So this one we can gauge it just like knighthood just like the guild bosses. So yeah, this I'm gonna be including falsetto fantasy, desolate lens, and ritual miracle leaderboard ranking. So yeah, let's get straight into it. This one is going to be a pretty long video because I'm also going to read what the Divinates do. So Donar is a free Divinate that you can get. At the start of a round, the bearer gains Conductor for 1 turn if the bearer's defense is above targets, and then his S3 deals 25% extra damage. So Donar is a free one, but I will still put him in no because he's not going to be useful in PvE like pretty much at all. Jin Yu Yao, let's take a look at what her Divinate is. At the end of a turn, the bearer has a 50% chance of getting speed up for 1 turn. Now, depending on how this is worded, at the end of a turn, not her turn by the way, it's a turn, this could be pretty good for Jin Yu Yao, but mostly for PvP. And maybe Dark Starlord she could be decent in, but it's not going to be like that crazy. She already gains a bunch of turns. The speed up buff is not really going to do much for her. It can be useful, maybe slightly, but I will still just put her at no. I'll still put her at no. She's not going to be used for any of the Ritual Miracle leaderboard ranking, any of the Desolate Lands. TA, I actually don't know what her... Okay, at the end of a turn, again, a turn, it's not her turn, it doesn't specifically says her turn. The bearer has a 50% chance of gaining recovery, that's a no. It might be useful in PvP, but in PvE you're not going to see any use for that. Yunchuan, at the start of a round, the bearer has a 100% chance of gaining speed up for 1 turn. Now Yunchuan, I'm going to actually put him on let me see, I think either at decent or good, not a must-have. The reason why I want to put him at good is because he is pretty much irreplaceable for any event trials that we have so far. Like almost every single event trials, he is the esper to use because of the amount of damage that he provides, and not because of this Divinate effects that he's getting. This is pretty much a throwaway for PvE activities, except for maybe Fafnir to apply so that he can move first and apply the thingy, but mostly for the attack related the attack stats, which is 600, and it's going to be massive for you in scoring higher in event trials. He is very good for Fafnir as well, and also, oh yeah, I forgot, falsetto fantasy as well. He's going to be very good for... You can pretty much use him on all 3 bosses, on the Forbiter, on the Sonica, and also DSL. He's going to be insanely good as well. So actually, nah, I'm going to keep him on good, maybe borderline must have, because of the attack stats alone. But for now, I'm just gonna give him good because the effects are nothing too crazy. Lewis, when the target's crit rate is above or below the bearer's, then his S3 rage avatars, final damage plus 30%, that's gonna be a no. He's not really used for any PvE leaderboard rankings. When the bearer's HP is above 70%, righteous anger actually, No, I forgot. Lewis could be decent for APAP speed teams because the additional damage could be massive for you to maybe one-shot APAP. So yeah, I'm gonna put him decent just for APAP alone, but he's not gonna be used for anything else in PVE aspect. So yeah, okay, back to Tang Xuan. When the barrier's HP is above 70%, Righteous Anger's damage plus 30%. Righteous Anger is his S1. That's very good. He could see use in future event trials. He has been useful in some event trials, and he's also very good for what's it called, the Andras boss. He does insane damage to clear the waves, and he also does decent damage on Andras the boss itself. And I think he's going to be very good for Falsetto Fantasy as well, just to get an insane score. If he procs a Pursuit, then he's going to do pretty decent damage on DSL, because DSL has 2 followers and he does AoE damage, right? So whenever he pursues with his S1, he's going to do insane damage. With this 30% increase, he's also going to do insane damage. And again, event trials, when the boss does AoE damage, the followers as well doing AoE damage, his pursuit is going to do insane amounts of damage. So I think I'm going to put him at good for now. Raven, let's take a look. I actually forgot where. Before casting Sunset, the barrier has 100% chance of getting attack up. Yeah, she's not really useful for PvE. She's pretty good for APAP actually. The fastest APAP team has her because you can clear the first wave within 1 turn. You use Ashley's S3, then she follows up and clear the waves. But you don't really need this attack up, so either decent or just no. For now I'm gonna put her at no. It's not really going to benefit you at all in leaderboard rankings, and even still, if you're using her for APAP, this attack up is almost unusable as well, because you're already running Ashley, which gives attack up on her S3, so this is pretty much useless. The attack flat is going to be massive for her, but you don't really need it. You don't need her to do more damage to clear the first wave, so yeah, I'm just gonna put her at no. Narmer, at the start of a round, the barrier has a 100% chance of getting attack up for 2 turns. This guy is gonna go straight up to no. Where is he? Narmer is gonna go straight to no. He has been pretty much useless for every PvE content this game has ever released. The same with Liling. Before casting Alter, he has a 100% chance of getting an attack up for 2 turns. That's not gonna be useful at all. Loki, when he casts his S1, he has a 100% chance to gain to put defense speed down, also a no. Height as well is a no. He gains 1 breath of the deep stack whenever he casts his S1. He's pretty much useless on all PvE contents. And then Ggez, his Divinate is when in God King mode, the barrier's crit damage plus 25% for the first turn. Now this one is a bit weird. The wording is a bit weird. It says right here, when in God King mode, the barrier's crit damage plus 25 for the first turn. Now what that means is, there's 2 ways that this could mean. The first way is, when you transform God King for the first time, your crit damage gets to plus 25, and then you never get it at all until the battle ends, right? Or the other way you can look at it is, when you enter God King mode, the first turn that you get 25% crit damage, which means every time you transform into God King mode, you're gonna get 25% crit damage. But either way, I think he's gonna be decent, nothing like good or whatever. He is good for, no, actually he's been dethroned in Chronos. He's not used in APAP, he's not used in Fafnir. He is good in 2 of the shadow bosses, which is Shadow Fire and Shadow Stream, but this additional 25% crit damage is not going to do much for him if it's a one-time thing. If it's every time he moves, he transforms into God King mode, he gets the 25%, and I think, I'm gonna put him in good actually. Yeah, I think I'm gonna put him good. He's still good in Dark Starlord, even though he eats 1 extra turn. He is a premium buff blocker unit, which can also provide Seer, so he's still gonna be like extremely good for Dark Starlord and 2 of the shadow bosses. So I'm gonna put him at here just from the basic stats alone, regardless of what this effect is, if it's a one-time thing or if he gets it whenever he transforms into God King mode. It's not gonna impact him all that much. the attack stats alone can put him in a good tier. So yeah. Okay, now take a look at Bayondina. This could have been insanely good for her, but I think just because of one thing, she's not going to be that good. When casting Tidal Wave, if the target is not buffed, 50% chance of performing a pursuit attack with Tidal Wave. Triggers once per turn. She would have been right here if it wasn't for one thing. When you take a look just from the first part, right? When casting Tidal Wave, which is her S1, and the target is not buffed, 50% chance of performing a pursuit attack. Damage was 120%, and if the target is not buffed, damage plus 50%. She deals what? Somewhere around 170 to 180%. That is insane for a pursuit attack, but just because it only triggers once per turn. You cannot pursuit like Tang Xuan that can endlessly pursuit, or Tang Yun as well that can endlessly pursuit on their S1. That would put her in no, because if she could endlessly pursuit, I would put her in must-have, because in event trials she could be, you know, pretty insane, pursuing on a 50% chance. That does 170 to 180% is insane, but she cannot endlessly pursue, so I'm just gonna put her at no. Gabrielle, when casting her S2, she gains attack up for 1 turn. Where is she? She's gonna go straight to no. There she is. Yeah, she's gonna go straight to no. She's the Divinate system for Gabrielle does not help her at all. Sally, after casting Ode to Joy, which is her S3 if I'm not mistaken. Yep, selects 3 random allied units and dispel 1 debuff from each of them. No as well. She hasn't been useful for PVE ranking for pretty much at all actually, so yeah, I'm gonna put her at no. Ollie, let's take a look. Before casting Law of Duet, the barrier has a 100% chance of getting attack up for 2 turns. Ollie is pretty much only used for Chronos, and that's about it. And even still, you don't really need the you already have an attack up unit in your team, be it Xuan Pin or Ashley, which means he's not going to be that useful, but I think he's going to be decent just for the attack boost. And if you want to try a team that does not have any attack up, he could be useful in that scenario. Unas, at the end of his turn, 100% chance of granting 1 random ally speed up for 1 turn. I think he's gonna go straight to no. 1 random ally speed up is just not gonna really do much for you. Maybe if you have him at Rezo 2 or above, then he could be useful in Shadow Fire. He's also pretty useful in Shadow Gale and Shadow Stream, but again, you still need him at R2 or above to give the attack up. Otherwise, you're gonna need another slot for an attack up unit. So okay, Lucas, after casting S3, he gains speed up for 2 turns. Again, a no, he's not gonna be useful for any PVE rankings. Nusi, at the start of a round, defense up to 2 random allies except for herself. Again, a no. Clara, let's take a look. After casting Queen's Blessing or Hymn of Life, 100% chance of dispelling 1 debuff from the ally with the lowest HP percentage. I would put her at no as well. She hasn't been useful for PvE rankings. Cecilia, at the start of the bearer's turn, if they are incapacitated, 100% chance of dispelling 1 debuff from themselves. No as well. She has no use in PvE. Sienna, after casting Guardian Vine, which is her S1, 100% chance of granting defense up to 1 random ally for 2 turns. The effect is not going to be useful. For the most part, for the support characters, the basic stats are not going to be that useful for you. It only helps them to survive. But for fighter characters that get like 600 flat attack, that's going to net you more points, because points is based on the amount of damage that you do, right? So yeah, fighters are going to be more use for the basic stats than supports or tanks. At the start of a round, Tever, the bearer's crit damage plus 25% for the first turn, so the effect is pretty much negligible, but because of the attack related, the attack stats, I would either put him at good or decent. For now, I think I'm gonna put him at good, because in all 3 Desolate Lands you can actually use Tever in using the new set, Relief set, and he pops off like crazy. the 600 additional attack is going to do insane damage for you, and he's also pretty useful for APAP, and I think he's going to be useful for Desolate Land bosses as well, because Desolate Land bosses only has one boss, and all of the debuffs that he provides from his passive is going to land on the boss, and every time he takes a turn he's going to do about 100,000 damage, and also apply a sear on the boss. So he's going to go straight into the good tier just from the basic stats alone. Ahmed, when world stage is on cooldown, prelude to life's healing plus 20%. His Divinate is only going to be useful for event trials and falsetto fantasy, but for now I'm going to put him at, no, I'm going to put him at good actually. Yeah, because the amount of healing that he gives in event trials and falsetto fantasy will net you a higher score. Jiang Juli, when entering demon mode, he inflicts stun, which is irresistible. He's gonna go straight to no. He's pretty much useless for all PVE contents. Zora, when the barrier's HP is above 70% HP, her S1 damage plus 25%. Zora, either no or decent. Nah, I'm gonna put her at no. She's not used in any of the event trials, any of the Desolate Lands, and any of the ritual miracles, so she's gonna go straight to no. Actually, Zora is used in Shadow Fire, but you've seen her less and less now. Unless you have her R6, then she could be decent, but it's only just for Shadow Fire, and the rest of the Shadow bosses she's useless, so I would still put her at no. Elliot, when casting S3, the barrier has a 100% chance of getting defense up. That's a no. He is not a PvE character at all. Brewster, I think he's gonna go straight to must have, to be honest. Where is he? Where's Brewster? His effect is just completely bonkers. He has some uses in event trials as well. He's gonna output even more damage from the basic stats and from the effect as well. So this guy is just an insane unit. When it comes to the Divinate system, it just boosts him even further. In Shadow Gale, he's also pretty good. In Ritual Miracle, you can use him for Chronos, which is, again, he's almost irreplaceable in Chronos for the defense down. And with the bit of damage that you can get from this Divinate system, he's gonna allow you to kill the Chronos a lot easier with the boosted damage that he gets. And also APAP, he's also irreplaceable in APAP. Falsetto Fantasy, he does provide a buff block, if I'm not mistaken, on his S3. Yeah, there we go. He's also very good in Falsetto Fantasy. In pretty much all three. No. DSL is not going to be that good, because DSL requires you to bring multi-hit characters. Or not DSL, Counter Sonica. Counter Sonica requires you to bring multi-hit, which he is not. I think for Forbiter and DSL, he's just going to be insane. For the first must-have, is going to be Brewster. Abigail, let's take a look. When she casts her S1, 50% chance of granting one ally with the recovery. She's going to go straight to no. Everett, when the barrier's HP is above 70%, his S3 deals 30% more damage. He is also going to go to no. Even though he's pretty good in event trials, this effect is not really that useful for him. Yeah, it's only boosting his S3. It would be better if he boosted his S2, in my opinion. Ophelia, when the enemy's HP is below 100%, her S1 damage plus 30%, I think she could be decent. Ophelia, I'm gonna put her at decent actually, because she can be used for Fafnir, and I think she could also be decent in Counter Sonica and Forbiter as well. But I don't know if this one, if bosses will go below 100%. If they don't go below 30%, then she's not going to be useful for any of the shadow bosses. This effect, except for the flat attack. The flat attack is going to be very good for her. And also for Falsetto Fantasy, if the boss doesn't go below 100%, then she's not going to gain this effect. But again, the flat attack is going to carry her. Leora, when the barrier's HP is above 70%, Daylight's Beam, final damage plus 20%. Daylight Beam is her S3. I think I'm going to put her at decent. She is, for now, she is only used for Chronos. Falsetto Fantasy, she's not going to be as useful. She could be useful just for the standoff alone, but the effect is not going to really add much to her. The flat attack again is going to be huge because it adds a lot of her DPS. But for Chronos, you don't really need this effect to one-shot the waves if you're already running Brewster. But if you don't have Brewster, then she could be useful to kill the boss without Brewster or without Ashley in the team. So I'm gonna put her at decent because she's only used for Chronos, and that's about it. Ashley gains Rainbow Bridge at the start of her turn. I'm gonna put her at no, actually, yeah, put her at no because it doesn't really add much to her kit. No, actually the basic stats, yeah, the basic stats, pretty much the decent tier is fighter espers that gain, if they don't gain a good effect, then the basic stats alone is gonna put them at decent if they are any use in Ritual Miracle, Falsetto, or Shadow bosses. And Ashley is used for Chronos, APAP. She is also pretty decent for Falsetto Fantasy, but the fact that she gains the 600 attack, I'm gonna put her at decent because it helps you with killing Chronos and APAP easier. So yeah, the effect is not really that good for her for PVE in my opinion. Ife, if the barrier's HP is above 70%, she puts 1 poison from her S2. Alright, she's gonna go straight to no, because even if you take a look at the Andras leaderboard, I'm pretty sure the top 50 does not run a poison team at all. Even Hilda is not even in the team anymore. So yeah, she's not gonna be useful in Andras leaderboard. She has not been useful for any of the Ritual Miracle, any of the Shadow bosses. Even in event trials, is pretty much useless as well. She's decent in DSL, but you don't need her. To be honest, you can run Kara as well and get just about the same result, because the first team don't really do much except for apply poisons. Fatum sisters, when casting Heart Beam, which is their S1, they apply speed down for 1 turn. So again, they're gonna go straight to the no tier. They're pretty much useless for all PvE contents. They have seen uses in Shadow Fire, Shadow Stream. No, you can actually use them for all 3 Shadow bosses, but the effect on them, the Divinate system effect, is not gonna add anything to you because you can apply speed down on the boss. And also the basic stats is not gonna add anything to them. Changji, when casting Cosmos Writing, I think that's his S3. Yep. 100% chance of granting crit rate up to 2 random allies for 1 turn. This makes absolutely no sense at all. But I will still put him at decent because he is pretty good. No, he's very good for one of the boss, which is Countess Sonica, if I'm not mistaken, that boosts your defense. So this basic stats of plus 590 defense is going to be massive for you when it comes to Dark Starlord first team. Not Dark Starlord, Countess Sonica first team. So he adds a bit more DPS to him, so you can score a little bit higher on the first team. Elaine, when the barrier is under Night Goddess, Oblivion strikes damage plus 30%. Elaine is going to go straight to no. When Intisar, when under stealth, her S2 deals plus 30% extra damage. Intisar is going to go straight to no as well. Her damage does not come from her damage multiplier, it comes from her HP scaling damage. So, and it's not even her S3, it's her S2, so I'm gonna put her at no. Lian, at the start of a round, the barrier has a 50% chance of granting 2 allies immunity for 1 turn. Lian is gonna go straight to no as well. That immunity is not gonna do anything for you. When the target has spark fire punch damage plus 25%, even though the effect is not that good, I'm gonna put him at good, because he is very good for Falsetto Fantasy, for his speed lead, for his what's the other one? His effect. This effect, where is it? There we go, the spark effect, and the flat attack is going to be massive for you. And he's also very good for Shadow Stream and Fafnir as well. Actually, it's not that lackluster, it's very good actually. The basic stats alone is going to carry him, just like any other fighter espers. Claw attack has a 100% chance of inflicting bleed for 2 turns. She has not seen any use in any PvE content, be it Ritual Miracle, Shadow bosses, or even event trials. And I don't think she's going to be any good for falsetto fantasy as well, because she eats up a lot of turns. She does this and follows up with the S2 that's gonna eat up 2 turns. And the falsetto fantasy, they do have turn limit, so yeah, I'm gonna put it at no. Yuhime, the barrier has a 100% chance of getting 1 health sand stack at the start of their turn. I'm gonna put Yuhime at no as well. She has not seen any use in PvE. The effect is pretty good, but she's not gonna be any useful. Ethan, when casting Enchanting Song, 100% chance of granting defense up for 1 turn to 2 random allies. That's also gonna go to no. Embla, when the target is debuffed, Tattered Sword has a 100% chance of inflicting bleed for 2 turns, even though the effect is kinda lackluster. The basic stats alone is enough to put her at good. She is also one of the espers that is irreplaceable if the event trial has multiple enemies, and she is also one of the best espers that you can bring in all 3 falsetto bosses, Forbiter, even Counter Sonica, and also Desolate Lands. Darkstarlord, she is absolutely insane. She's used for all 3, and the basic stats alone is going to carry her. Yamato, after casting Thunder Surge, gains 6 stacks of Rashomon, and then blah blah blah, whatever. Yamato is going to go straight to no. He's not going to be useful in PvE contents. Xuan Pin, at the start of a barrier's turn, 100% chance of granting 1 ally soldier. This is actually decent. It's not going to add your DP score by that much, but the only way that you can get the soldier stack is by casting S3, which she gives to all of your allies and nothing else. And then you can get her from the Resonance, which gives 1 stack of soldier to all teammates except for herself, but it's only at R6. So the only way that you can get the soldier stack is by casting S3 or from the Divinates system, which can help you slightly, so which is why I'm going to put her at decent. She is used for all event trials, all Desolate Lands, all you can use her for all Ritual Miracle as well, and all Falsetto Fantasy, but because the effect is kind of lackluster and the basic stats doesn't really help her all that well, she's not gonna get any higher than decent here. When the barrier is not debuffed, Eternal Light final damage plus 30%. Javid has not seen any use in PvE as well, so he's gonna go straight to no. Hestia, when the barrier gains Chef Ggez, Stir Fry Heat, final damage plus 30%, she's gonna go straight to no. Valeria is actually pretty decent at R2. When the barrier's hit speed is above the target, launching tides final damage plus 30%. I'm gonna put her at decent, nothing higher than decent, because at R2 she can pop off like crazy and gain a bunch of turns, so her S1 deals insane amounts of damage. But in event trials, she is only going to be useful for bosses that have multiple AoE attacks, and when you reach 6 million and above, the boss will have insane speed, and Valeria will not have higher speed than the boss. So this effect is not going to be any useful in event trial once you hit like 6 million plus. Hilda, at the start of a round, the barrier has a 100% chance of getting defense up. I'm gonna go straight to no. That's a pretty shit effect, and the basic stats on her is not gonna do much because the damage that's coming from her is not gonna be the multiplier, but more so from her poison stacks. Alright, we're almost done. Nora, after casting Halcyon Harmonic, the barrier has a 100% chance of gaining attack up for 1 turn. I think this puts her at decent. She is pretty good for event trials that has multiple adds, and if the boss does multiple AoE attacks, because her S2 can proc multiple times in a row, and the basic stats is gonna help you significantly in event trials. And I think she's gonna be useful in Falsetto Fantasy as well. Not so much for Ritual Miracle. She is pretty useful in Fafnir and in the new boss, which is Andras. And lastly, we have Toland. When casting Point of Origin, which is his S3, the barrier has 100% chance of extending the target's ability cooldown to the maximum number of turns. Toland is going to go to no. I don't think he's going to be any use for PvE content leaderboard, and that's about it really. Let's revise the tier list real quick. the must-have, we have Brewster alone at the top, in my opinion, because Brewster gains the basic stats of 600% attack, 600 flat attack, along with a very good effect on his Divinate system, which is plus 25% damage on his S1. The rest is on good tier because they get benefit from the basic stats and not that much from the effect. Like Yun Xuan, he gains 600 attack and that's about it. His effect is kind of throwaway. Tang Yun is okay in some event trials, and I think he's gonna be pretty massive in Falsetto Fantasy. Actually, Tang Xuan might be in must-have, but for now I'm gonna put Tang Xuan at good because he's not used in almost any of the Ritual Miracle except for Andras, and for Desolate Lands he hasn't seen any use at all. Ggez, again, the effect is kind of throwaway if it's a one-time thing, and he's not really used in any of the Desolate in the Ritual Miracle anymore, but because of the 600% attack, he's here. Same with Sever, 600% attack, and Ahmed is very good in the event trials, and also for Falsetto Fantasy he's going to be very good with the healing that he provides. Mateo as well. Mateo actually might be in the must-have. Yeah, I'm actually going to put Mateo in the must-have because 600% attack, 600 flat attack is going to boost his damage significantly, and his S3 plus 25% additional damage, which he cycles extremely well because he gains AP whenever your allies crit. I'm actually going to put Mateo in the must-have. Yeah, Embla, even though she has a very bad Divinate effect, she does get the 600 flat attack, which puts her in a good tier. And yeah, that's the decent tier, and that's the no tier. Next tier list I'm going to be doing is the PvP tier list. It's going to be looking entirely different from this PvE tier list. Once again, this is a PvE tier list, and yeah, that's about it really. Ciao.